Hey, welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about a movie where a man accidentally wishes his crush into a monster. Or maybe a husk of someone's former self that we view as a monster. For the two of you who found this through the horror algorithm and not the furry one, don't worry. You don't need to be a furry to hang out here. I just like the idea of covering a variety of things. So today, I want to talk about the indie horror movie that became a viral sensation on a less than $1 million budget and only 20 days of filming. Obsession. Okay, so what is Obsession? Well, it's definitely not the typical creepy stalker guy after the innocent victim type scenario. Our main guy is Bear, played by Michael Johnston, a soft-spoken dude working at a music store who has a hopelessly aching crush on his friend Nikki, played by, hopefully I'm saying it correctly, Indy Navarrete. Now, most of us handle unrequited feelings the healthy way, right? We usually maybe lie on the floor and listen to a specific song on a loop for an hour or so. Bear does not do that. Bear comes into possession of a little supernatural wish toy, the One Wish Willow, and makes the single most cursed wish a lonely person can make. He wishes that Nikki will love him more than anyone else in the entire effing world. And I need to stop you right there, because the movie is marketing Bear as the sweet, shy, sad boy underdog. The nice guy who finally gets his shot. And I fell for it too, for maybe 5 minutes. Early on, Bear's cat dies. He does cry over the loss of his cat, but a person who actually loves their pet would bury it or cremate it, right? Bear doesn't do that. Bear puts his cat in a trash bag, into the trash, the garbage. Honestly, I questioned this immediately. I started to think, that's a guy hinting who he truly is in scene 1, and daring you not to notice. And here's the thing about wishes in horror movies, they always read the fine print you didn't. This is a monkey's paw story, top to bottom. Director Curry Barker has straight up said that it grew out of that classic Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors episode with the monkey paw bit. You ask for love, you get compliance. You get devotion with the humanity scooped out of it, like the insides of a Halloween pumpkin. Such a clean, nasty little idea. Because let's just say the quiet part out loud. This is a horror movie about what happens when an incel gets his wish. That's the tagline they would never dare put on the poster. Bear doesn't want a relationship. A relationship has another person in it with opinions and the right to say no. Bear wants a result, and the movie asks the terrifying question, what if the universe actually gave it to him? 3 quick reasons this thing actually earned the hype and it isn't just a viral fluke. 1. Indy Navarrete. The performance of Nikki is insane. She has to be real, warm, and a specific person, and the scariest thing you've seen all year. Sometimes in the same shot. Critics have basically crowned her horror's newest scream queen, and honestly, that is so deserved. I was, and I quote myself, not okay. 2. The tone. And this is the thing I love most about it, so let me actually gush for a moment. This movie is weird, it's random, it's goofy, it's genuinely funny in these off-kilter little ways, and it never once uses that to let you off the hook. Most movies use comedy as a pressure valve. You laugh, you relax, and then the scary stuff resets. Obsession does the opposite. It gets you giggling at something strange, and then the exact same weirdness curdles into the scariest thing in the room while you're still smiling. The humor does not cut the tension. It's the delivery system for the tension. And it terrifies Bear too. He's not a cackling villain enjoying this. He's frequently just as freaked out as we are, laughing nervously at a nightmare he built. And that shared confusion between him and the audience is what makes it crawl into your skin. You're scared with this guy. That's a magic trick. And it's on a budget most creators spend on just a camera alone. 3. It's about something. Under the Monster, it's a movie about a very modern, very online kind of loneliness. The guy who thinks love is something you can acquire if you just do the right thing. And the movie has a genuinely disturbing thesis about that, which we are going to get into. We're really getting to spoiler territory now. If you have not seen Obsession, please go watch it before you watch the rest of this video. Okay? Let's go. Here's the thing that got under my skin and absolutely stayed there. The horror of Obsession isn't really the monster, it's the logic of the wish. Bear wishes for Nikki to love him above all else. The movie's brutal insight is this. The only way to make someone love you above literally everything, above your friends, your family, your fears, your own self, is to strip that all away, to dehumanize them. You don't get a partner. You get a thing shaped like the person you wanted, with everything that made them burned off. That's why it's so horrifying. And that's the monkey's paw for, like, the swipe generation, isn't it? Be careful what you wish for turns into, be careful what you think you're owed. Remember that incel line I said earlier? He got the girl. He got exactly what that mindset says it wants. Total, unconditional, no takebacks devotion. And the movie holds up a mirror and goes, look what you actually asked for. You don't just want to be loved. You want to win. And winning, in this movie, has a body count. It's the rare horror movie where I left more disturbed by the idea than by any single jump scare, which for me is the whole point of the genre. There's one more layer, and this is where I want to get serious for a second. If you sit with what actually happens to Nikki, Obsession stops being just a monkey's paw creature feature and becomes one of the sharpest allegories for SA I've seen in a horror movie in years. I think the movie clearly knows it's doing it. The wish doesn't make Nikki choose Bear. It removes her ability to choose anything. Her consent, her boundaries, her ownership of her own body and mind. The wish overwrites all of it. After that, everything that happens to Nikki happens to her, not with her. She is present, but she is not consenting because the movie has surgically removed her capability to do so. That's not a love story. That is a violation given supernatural machinery so the audience can't look away and call it romance. And the film frames it exactly that way. Bear tells himself this is love. He needs to believe it's love because she chose me is the story he's building his whole identity on. But we, the audience, can see there was no choice. Her yes is not a yes. It's the absence of a no she's no longer allowed to give. That gap between what Bear insists is happening and what's actually happening to her body and her will, that gap is the real horror of the movie. The monster makeup is just the part your eyes can process. And I need to talk about her suffering directly, because the movie does not let her disappear into the monster. This is the detail that wrecked me. Nikki keeps surfacing in the middle of the freakouts, in those quote-unquote creature moments. Every so often, the real her snaps through for a second, just long enough to know exactly what's happening to her. And those screams on that phone call, that is not a monster sound effect. That is a person fully awake, fully aware, trapped inside her own body, watching it be used and screaming. That's the difference between possession and what this movie is actually depicting. She is not gone. She's a prisoner. She's in there the whole time, and that is so much worse. Nikki had a life. Before the wish, Nikki was a whole person with her own trajectory. She had plans. She was making moves. She talks about quitting her job, the one she and Bear both work at, because she wanted something more for herself. She had control of where her life was going. That woman existed. That woman had a future she was steering. And keep an eye on how Bear reacts to that job news, because it's like the cat all over again. She's excited to grow, to leave, and his response is basically, it's just a job. Because a Nikki who moves on is a Nikki who moves away from him. He did not want her to have that exit. He wanted her to stay in orbit. That is not support. That's the same possessive reflex that later erases her entirely, just wearing a nicer sweater. The wish didn't turn Bear into a controlling person. It gave a controlling person a cheat code. And here's the part I really want to be fair about, because it's what makes the movie smart instead of just cruel. Bear didn't plot this. He did not sit down and go, I'm going to strip a woman of her free will, mwahaha. He made an idle, pathetic, half-serious wish, and by his own reaction, did not even think it would take. He's as horrified as we are. If the movie ended his culpability there, he'd just be an unlucky guy who touched a toy. But that's not where the movie leaves him, because the wish gives him exits. Moments where the real Nikki claws her way back to the surface, and there's this one scene, the real her breaks through just for a moment, and she is begging him to end it, begging him to unalive her, telling him plainly that she was never with him, that none of this was her. It's the single clearest no a person can give. She would rather not exist than exist like this, and it's handed directly to him. And what does Bear say back? He asks her what would be so bad. What would be so bad about being with me? That's the line. That is the whole movie in one sentence. Confronted with her explicit, desperate, life or death non-consent, his instinct isn't guilt. It's to make her volition about his ego, to reframe her plea to die as her being unreasonable about him. And that's not a wish gone wrong anymore. That's a choice. The curse opened the door marked "Let her go," and Bear looked at it and decided his loneliness weighed more than her life. To me, that's truly where he completely stops being a victim in any regard of this story. And this is why the cat matters so much in the beginning. The movie told us. A guy who throws a creature he loved in the garbage the second it can't do anything for him. Of course, when the moment came, he'd choose ownership over her. Bear was never the good guy who deserved his crush. He was a warning the film waved in our faces in scene 1, betting we'd be too busy rooting for the underdog to read it. A lot of us lost that bet, and that's on purpose. Which brings us to how it ends, and the movie does not blink. Bear dies, and how he goes out is the cat closing its own loop. It's the pills. That dead cat in the beginning of the movie wasn't only telling us who Bear is, it was quietly telling us how his story ends. Same thing that killed the cat, full circle. The movie buried his entire fate in the first 5 minutes and just waited to see if we'd catch it. And the moment he's gone, the wish breaks. Nikki is finally completely herself. The first time since this all started. She's the one driving, and that should be relief, right? Curse lifted! She's free! Except free means she's now fully awake, fully herself in the wreckage of everything that was done to her and through her while she had no say in any of it. She gets her mind back only to inherit the aftermath of having lost it. And her first real choice in the entire film, the first thing the movie lets her decide is about that. And Barker refuses to hand you a single ounce of catharsis. No comfort button. The film leaves you on the most horrific final image it can find and splits the whole theater down the middle. Half of us walk out certain her life was already destroyed by what happened during the wish, that there was no after she could have lived in. The other half is left just asking. Was there any way out of what she left holding? Could she have escaped it all? The movie doesn't answer, it just ends on her on the cost, and that's the real thesis of Obsession. It's not that the monster wins, it's that even when the monster loses, even when Bear is gone and the spell is broken, the person it happened to is the one who still has to carry it. The horror doesn't die with him, it's the thing he leaves behind her. So yeah, it's a movie about a haunted toy that's actually the wreckage that entitlement leaves in real people. Now, is it perfect? Maybe not, but to me it's almost perfect. Any complaints towards this movie aim way too high in my opinion. I'll take a $750,000 swing for the fences with a couple of misses over a $200 million plus focus group sloppy nothing burger any day of the week. Obsession is genuinely a great horror movie that also happens to be an insane underdog story, proof that a clear idea and real craft beat a giant budget every time. It's scary, it's funny, it's weird, it's insane, all in the best way for horror films. Indy Navarrete should start clearing shelf space for awards. My personal score for Obsession is 9 out of 10. I will never recover from being this impressed by a toy wish granter. Thank you so much if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. If you liked my review, the subscribe button is there, it's free. Unlike the One Wish Willow, it will not turn your loved ones into a practical offense nightmare. Maybe. What would you wish for? Leave a comment with your answer and reply to others what could go wrong with their wish. And feel free to give me ideas on what to cover next. Thank you so much.